Hey, today we figure out if we can actually beat Pokemon Kanto Black, which is a ROM hack with Gen 5 and 6 Pokemon, using only the Pokemon that we actually hatch from the Wonder Eggs we can buy in the next town. So the first egg that we hatch is going to hatch into a Scrap. We're going to nickname him um, Ariel, or her Ariel, because I had no idea what I wanted to nickname her. I didn't ever use a Scrap before. The next Pokemon that we actually hatch is Fungus, and his name or her name is going to be Luna. I also never used Lunia. I also never used a Amoongus or Fungus before, so that was interesting. The first rival battle went down pretty easily. I do have two poison types, so that shouldn't be a problem. And the first gym battle shouldn't be a problem either. But Lunia was pretty good. And it's only going to, or she's only going to get better as the time goes on. So the first gym battle goes pretty smoothly, like I said. We start with Lunia, and we just spam Absorb on the Rogue and Roller, taking it down pretty easily. Sandstorm does a little bit of a damage to us, but it can barely do anything to us. Next up, he has a Archon. We go with Growth again, and then we go with Absorb. We hit through double team, so that's good. The only reason why I didn't switch out is because I don't want to lose my boosts here. But I had to switch out eventually because I wasn't doing enough damage, so I went to my Scalp and I just used Water Gun to eventually take down Archon. That is actually pretty weak at this point of the game. And it went down to combination of Poison from Poison Point and Water Gun, so that was pretty easy. Next up is another Rogue and Roll. I decided to stay in and go for Water Gun again. Oh yeah, I'm playing on the hard mode, so that's why he has 6 Pokemon. Next up is the Tirtuga. Tirtuga goes down pretty easily. And Lunia actually has Regenerator, so that's why it has a full health now. Next up is Dwebble. I'm going to go back to Ariel because I'm afraid of this thing. It actually has a Fury Cutter, and that's not good. But it doesn't use it in this battle. And last but not least is Carbing, who takes down Ariel. But we go to Lunia here. We use Growth a few times. It goes for Harden. It doesn't want to attack me for some reason. And we just spam Absorb until the cows come home. It goes for Stealth Rock. We only have Lunia, so that's doing nothing. Thanks for that. He should have sent that earlier, and it would probably mess me up pretty badly and I wouldn't be able to win, but with that, we actually defeat Leader Brock. Next up, we hatch a Pansage, which is another grass type. I'm not happy about that, but I named him Salad, and he actually became a pretty good team member. Next up, we hatch a Dwebble, which is going to be nicknamed Debbie, and a Joltik, which is going to be nicknamed Sparky, and a Scraggy that's going to be nicknamed Cricket, because I had no idea what I wanted to nickname him. I haven't really used either of these Pokemon before, but yeah, some of them actually turn out to be pretty good. Next up is another rival battle. We go ahead and destroy his Pidove with our Dwebble. We destroy his Pampur with our Sparky without any problems. We take down Timber before it can actually hurt us. And then we battle Snivy. I do have Leech Life for that. It only has 20 power in this game, but it does take down Snivy pretty easily. Next up is Misty Battle, and she does have a Ice Team because this gym is a Ice type gym for some reason. But we start with Amora, or we start with Debbie. Amora paralyzes us. We go for Stealth Rock, so that her team actually gets hurt a little bit every time they come out. And Debbie goes for Rock Throw there, or Rock Tomb, but she gets paralyzed, so that's really bad. I do eventually get taken down. I then go to my Cricket. Cricket is my fighting type, so that should be good for this team. I do go for Power Up Punch here. And then I go for another power up punch on Kupcho, bringing my attack up again, so that's good. Next up is Bergamite. This thing is really defensive, but luckily I have two attack boosts here, so that shouldn't be too bad. And next up is Cryogonal, and we go for power up punch again. That's going to be our entire strategy for the entire team. He does go for reflect, but we get through that and we hit through that pretty easily, taking it down because we have so many attack boosts at this point. Next up is another Bergamite, and we go for Brick Break here, breaking the reflect and taking down the Bergamite. And last but not least is another Cryogonal, and we go for a Brick Break here, taking it down pretty easily and defeating Misty pretty easily. Next up is another rival battle on the SSN. We start with Debbie against Tranquil, but Tranquil nearly takes us down before we can actually take it out ourselves. Next up is Pampur. We go with Salad. We go with our own Elemental Monkey against his Elemental Monkey. We use Bullet Seed and take it down before it can actually do anything to me. Next up is Dynamo. We go to Lunia. He does paralyze us, but we set up a few growths. And then we go for Mega Drain. But we get paralyzed a few times and we don't end up doing any damage before we are taken out. Next up we go into Cricket. Dynamo gets intimidated, we get paralyzed. But we take it down with 2 Brick Breaks. And last but not least is his Servine, his starter, and we go to Sparky. We use Bug Bites. 2 Bug Bites and we take it down pretty easily. Next up is Leader Search. He has a Molga, which goes for World Switch. We go for Stealth Rock there, so everything takes a little bit of a damage when they come out. We go into Salad and we use Mega Drain and Bullet Seed. Combination and Stunfisk. The Citrus Berry actually activates and that's annoying, but we do eventually take it down. We are paralyzed and really low on health though. Next up is a Blitzel. I decided to go into Sparky because I had no idea what I wanted to do. He does have Flame Charge, but it barely does anything to me. And 2 Bug Bites actually takes it down. Next up is Emolga again. And we go for Rock Blast, but we are taken out before it can do anything. Or before Debbie can do anything because it's taken down by Volt Switch. Next up we have a Clink. We nearly take it down. He switches to Emolga. We eventually take down that Emolga. Cricket is nearly taken out here and it's taken down before he can actually finish up that second Emolga. Joltik manages to finish up Clink and his own Joltik. It does take a little bit, but we do manage to take down that Joltik. And the next one is going to be Emolga again. Emolga faints and we defeat Leader Search. Next up are Pensage actually evolves into Simisage and we have to battle a Giovanni here. He starts with Ponyard. We actually sacrifice our Debbie, or not Debbie, Ariel, for no reason there. We do eventually take him down, take his next 2 Pokemon down with Salad, and then we take Boulder down with Salad. He has Excadrill next, and Cricket is dead, so I have to go into a Lunia. But Lunia can't really do much to him. We do set up a few growths, but we get taken down before we can actually do anything because we're super slow. We go to Salad again, and we use Power Up Punch and Seed Bomb to take him down, and then we take down the Croc with Seed Bomb. Next up we evolved our Sparky and our Debbie, so they're both ready to go against Erika. She starts off with Whimsicott, we go ahead and use Signal Beam, but we are really low on health. She switches out into Gorgeist, and Sparky actually gets taken down there. Then we go to Debbie, and we go for X-Scissor. She keeps going for Shadow Sneak, but that barely does anything to me. Next up is Ferocity. I go to Cricket here, and I use two Brick Breaks to actually take it down. Next up is Maractus, and we go back to Debbie, and we take it down pretty easily. Next up is Whimsicott. We nearly get taken down. We get taken down before we can actually take down the Whimsicott. But we go to Ariel and we use Poison Tail to take it down. Next up is Florges. And this thing can do a lot of damage to me. But luckily, two Acrobatics take it down before I can actually do anything. Or it can actually do anything dangerous to my Salad. So we eventually take down the last Pokemon and we defeat Leader Erika. She was surprisingly bad in this game, or surprisingly hard because of that Florges. Next up is another rival battle, but he's easy like always. His team is pretty easy to take down. He doesn't have any real threats on his team aside from one Pheasant, but after that the rest of his team goes down pretty easily. Next up we battle Koga again, and he starts off with Crustle, and we go ahead and start with Ariel. We go for a few Aqua Tails and we eventually take it down. Next up is a Galvantula, so we go into Debbie. We set up Stealth Rocks, and then we go for Rock Slide to take down Excelgor that actually gets ended out next up is Clovitzer, and I actually go into Salad here. I go for Seed Bomb, nearly taking it down, but he goes for Ice Beam and he takes me down. Lunia actually evolved before, and I didn't record it, I don't think so. But yeah, we have a Among Us now, and Cricket also evolved, so now the only unevolved Pokemon on our team is a Ariel. But we do eventually take down Garbodor again. Or, we do eventually take down Garbodor. He goes to a Galvantula again. And I do eventually take it down, or nearly take it down, but he switches into Escavalier before I can do that, and my Galvantula gets taken down. A few Brick Breaks actually deal with Escavalier, and he goes back into a Galvantula, and I go back into Debbie, and I go for Rock Slide, and I take it down with 2 health to spare and being paralyzed. Next up is another rival battle, who now has a Pheasant. I try going for Thunderbolt against it, but I actually don't make it, or I nearly die because I keep missing. But I do eventually take down a Pheasant with my Debbie. Next up is Simipur. That one is easy like always because we do have 2 grass types on the team and an electric type. He has electric now, and that goes down pretty easily. And the ocean goes down too before it can actually do anything. And last but not least is his superior, who goes down in a couple Brick Breaks. Pretty easy battle right there. And our Ariel finally evolves, so that means that we have a fully evolved team now. Next up is another Giovanni battle. We take down 2 of his Pokemon with Sparky and Signal Beam. Next up is Gigalith, and I go into Lunia, going for Seed Bomb there. 2 Seed Bombs take it down pretty easily. Next up is a Pangora. I go into Salad and I use 2 Acrobatics to take it down. Next up is a Golark, and I decide to stay in and go for Seed Bomb, taking it down pretty easily too. And last but not least is Excadrill, that also surprisingly goes down into 1 Seed Bomb from a from Simisage. I keep forgetting this thing's name because I don't really use monkeys. Next up is a battle against Sabrina. I go ahead and use a Cricket and Sparky for her entire team, because her entire team is actually pretty easy to take down, and we have two bug types and a dark type on the team, so yeah, her battle is going to be really easy. Gotitar nearly takes down Debbie, but after that she has a aromatizer. This thing is a fairy type, so that could be dangerous, but we do have two poison types, so that should be pretty good. Ariel is a dragon and poison type, and it can't be touched by a fairy type, so that's good. Any other dragon type would be destroyed, but luckily we got the one that is also part poison type. Next up is Moshana. I didn't know what to do against it because this thing is pretty bulky and it takes down Cricket in one shot, which is really annoying. I decide to swap into Galvantula and go for a Signal Beam, and I nearly take it down. It uses Psychic, it does a lot of damage to me, but luckily she doesn't heal it. And it goes down to another Signal Beam, and last but not least is a Vivian. We actually outspeed that and take it down with one Thunderbolt. Next up is Leader Blaine. Leader Blaine starts with a Pheasant. I think that he has a normal type team in this game, so that's really interesting. I have no idea why they swapped that, but we start off with Debbie and we go for Rock Slide there. We nearly take down the Unpheasant, but not quite. It actually takes us down with Braveheart, which is annoying. Next up is his Braviary, and we take it down, nearly take it down with Thunderbolt, but it takes itself out with Braveheart as well. So now we're down to 4 Pokemon against 4 Pokemon, which is really bad. He does have a Buffalant next. It does get poisoned, it does a lot of damage to me, and I don't like that one bit. We go into Lunia there, and we try taking it down, but it does take itself down, and it does take us down as well, so now it's 3 versus 3. Pyroard actually takes down Ariel before she can do anything, which is really, really bad. Because we're now down to 2 versus 3. We go for bulk up on Cricket, and then take down the Pyroard with one Brick Break. He has a Stoutland next, it has Intimidate. I go for Brick Break, nearly take it down. It goes for Play Rough, doing a lot of damage, but it doesn't lower my attack luckily. So last but not least is his Diggersby, that nearly goes down there. It takes down my Scrafty, but luckily Salat is here to pick up the slack and actually finish the battle for us. Last but not least is the leader Giovanni. He starts with Crocodile. I go for X-Scissor with Abby, taking it down, but nearly taking myself out in the process. And next up is B-Sharp. I go for Brick Break, taking it down in one shot, or almost one shot. It actually leaves on a sliver of health with 30, but it does eventually go down before doing any damage to me. Next up is a Zoroark, so I go to my Sparky and I go for Signal Beam. Zoroark nearly takes me down there, but luckily I managed to defeat it. Next up is Mandibuzz, and I go for Thunderbolt there, outspeeding it, but I get taken down with Dark Pose. I go into Debbie here, even though I know that I'm super slow, so I just sack off Debbie for no reason there. Next up is Ariel. Ariel uses Scald and burns the Mandibuzz, which is not that ideal because Dark Pose is special in this game. Next up is Terrakion, that actually takes down Ariel before she can do anything else, sadly. And it takes down the Scrafty as well, so that's really bad. We are down to 2 grass types. Luckily Silent managed to outspeed and take it down with 2 Seed Bombs. And then we take down Excadrill with 2 Seed Bombs as well. Next up is another rival fight. Last but not the last one, the second to last one. He starts off with Lectures, which goes down pretty easily. And next up is his Simipur, that is also not a problem, because we take it down with 1 Seed Bomb from Lunia. Next up is his Duosion, so we go to Sparky and we take it down with 2 yellow health with Signal Beam, but we actually sadly get taken down ourselves. But he goes down to a Crunch from Scrafty. Next up is his Pheasant, who uses a Swagger, and Braybird nearly taking us down, and we eventually take ourselves out, which is really annoying. He goes for Swagger on Debbie. Debbie takes herself out before she can do anything, which is really bad. He goes for Braybird on Ariel, and he actually manages to poison himself, which is his downfall, because he eventually gets taken down, which is lucky for us because that thing was really, really annoying. I didn't expect it to be that annoying. His superior is not a problem because we go for acrobatics and take it down. And last but not least is his girder, who also goes down to 2 acrobatics. First up is Elite for Lorelei. She has a Swana. I go for Thunderbolt, taking it down with 1 shot. I then paralyze Caracosta, and then I go for Thunderbolt, nearly taking it down. And I eventually take it down to Sturdy and take it down before it can do any damage to me. Next up is her Jellicent. I go for Sit Bump with Lunia and take it down in 1 shot pretty easily. Next up is Greninja. Greninja is really annoying because it has a protein, but I did take it down pretty easily with 1 Sit Bomb from Salad. Next up is Bitic. I take it down with a single Brick Break. And last but not least is her Dragalchi. I go for Dragon Dance and then I go for Crunch, taking it down pretty easily. Next up was Durant. I go for a Thunderbolt here, taking it down pretty easily. I had to be super overleveled for the Elite 4 because I couldn't beat the Elite 4. I couldn't get past Lorelei and her Greninja without being this high of a level, which was really annoying. I do take down Clink Clank after a few Dragon Dances and Brick Breaks. Next up is Sock. It goes down to 30. It takes me out, which is really annoying, but Argyle eventually outspeeds and uses Bug Buzz and takes that down, which is really good. We paralyze throw. We go for Thunderbolt, but we get taken down as well. So we go into Ariel here, and we go for Dragon Pulse, doing a lot of damage, but 2 Dragon Pulses actually take it down, which is really good. Next up is Ferrothorn. I have nothing for this, so I have to Scald it and burn it. I let Ariel go down, and I go for Crunch and take it down there. Next up is his Edge Slash, and I go for Crunch here, doing a lot of damage. Shadow Sneak takes me out, but I go into Lunia, and I go for Giga Drain, doing a little bit of damage. I go for Growth there. I nearly got taken down, but Shadow Sneak actually takes me down before I can do anything at all. Crabhammer nearly takes it down, but I nearly get taken out, but I barely win there, which is really annoying. His team is actually surprisingly good in this game. Next up is Elite 4 Agatha. I go for a Dragon Dance and Crunch on the Cofagrigas. She has Talonflame next for some reason, and it goes down to a single rock type move. Next up is her Dermanitan takes down Debbie before I can actually do anything to her. Sigilyph goes down into 1 Thunderbolt. I managed to paralyze the Dermanitan there. And we take down Dermanitan with Scald. Next up is Chandelure. We take that down with 2 Scalds. Next up is Volcarona. Oh, I actually forgot that that she has a full fire type team and a Cofagrigus. For some reason, I have no idea why is that. Next up is Lance, which starts off with a Scolipede of all things for some reason. I do go for a Dragalge or not Dragalge to Ariel, and I get taken down before I can do anything. Rockslide takes it down eventually. Next up is his Hydreigon, and I go for Sparky. I use Bug Buzz there, taking it down in 1 shot. Next up is his Noivern, who does take a lot of damage from Thunderbolt. He goes down into Thunderbolts. Next up is his Dredigon. I go into Cricket because he has Dual Chop and Intimidate. And he does take down a Dredigon pretty easily. Next up is his crafty that goes down to a couple of brick breaks, and last but not least is his Hexerus that takes down my cricket, starting a outrage. I do manage to paralyze it, but it does get healed up, so that's really annoying. I start going for gunk shot on Lunia. Lunia is surprisingly bulky there. It does manage to leave a few hits and poison and take down the um, Hexerus. I did have to try a few times against the champion because he starts off with Archeops, and this thing doesn't have the fast in this game and it could do a lot of damage to me. Next up is his Gudra, and it gets paralyzed by Sparky. And then I switch into Debbie. And I just start spamming various moves. X-Scissor actually does a lot of damage because it's a crit. I nearly take it down there, it gets paralyzed. But Iron Tail nearly takes me down there. And I managed to nearly take it down before I actually get taken down myself. Ariel picks up the slack and actually takes it down. Next up is his Zekrom, who does a lot of damage to me, but he does get poisoned in the process, so that's really good. My Scrafty gets taken down there, but we go for a Thunderbolt with Gargantuan taking it down eventually. And next up is his Volcarona. This thing has a flame body, and that can actually burn me, and I don't appreciate that, but I do take it down with one acrobatics before it can do any damage, and I don't get burnt, which is really good. Greninja gets taken down with one Thunderbolt. We do a little bit of chip damage to Conkeldurr, and we take it down eventually. And we managed to defeat the game using this team that we hatched from the X. Some of them were really good, some of them were really underappreciated. I haven't really used them before, like a Simisage and Among Us. They were pretty good. Dragalchi was okay, I guess. It was kinda just there, and so was Dwebble, or not Dwebble, Debbie. But the rest of the team was pretty good, so pretty good game overall.